Amy Lynn Bradley disappeared from a cruise ship in the early hours of the morning. She'd gone to sleep in her cabin, and when her family woke up, Amy was gone. Nobody saw her leave, nobody heard any sort of struggle, and the ship had not yet docked. Amy Lynn Bradley was never ever found. It's midnight somewhere. Tonight, I have a story for you. Amy Lynn Bradley was 23 years old. She was athletic, she was outgoing, and she was very close with her family. And her friends described her as being confident and also quite independent. In March of 1998, Amy joined her parents and her younger brother on a Caribbean cruise aboard the Rhapsody of the Seas. It was meant to be a short vacation, a break, a reset, something that should have been very, very ordinary. On the night of March 23, Amy spent the evening with her brother at the ship's nightclub. They danced, they talked, they met with other passengers, and at around 1 a.m. in the morning, Amy and her brother returned to their cabin and her brother went to sleep. Amy stayed awake for a little bit longer, sitting on the cabin's private balcony, and at approximately 2 a.m, Amy was seen by her father resting on the balcony chair. And her father would later say that Amy appeared very relaxed, very comfortable, and also she seemed very much at ease. Very sadly, that was the last confirmed sighting of Amy. Now, just a few hours later, Amy's family woke up, and to her family's surprise, Amy was completely gone. But very strangely, her shoes were still in the cabin, her cigarettes were left behind, her lighter was there, and also too, the balcony door was closed and locked. There was no sign of any sort of struggle, no indication that she'd packed or prepared to leave. At around that same moment, the ship was approaching its next destination, but importantly, it hadn't reached the destination and it hadn't yet docked. A search was conducted for Amy on board the ship. Crew members checked common areas, decks and stairwells, but there was no sign of Amy. And by the time the authorities were notified, the ship had already docked, and the assumption was simple and also very unsettling. Amy had vanished somewhere between the open ocean and the crowded port. Now, Amy didn't disappear in isolation. She vanished from a cruise ship carrying thousands of passengers and crew. A contained environment with cameras, with staff, and with nowhere obvious to go. There was no confirmed evidence that she even fell overboard. There were no eyewitness accounts, no physical trace, and yet Amy was completely gone. And here's where things get very strange. In the years that followed, reports began to surface. Amy was allegedly seen in various locations throughout the Caribbean. A woman resembling her was reported at a beach, another in a restroom, and another speaking with an accent that didn't match the region. None of the sightings were ever confirmed, but they never fully stopped either. Now, as the years passed, Amy's family continued searching. They worked with investigators, they followed new leads, they refused to let the case fade off into time and distance. But despite the years of effort, no explanation of what happened to Amy was ever resolved. No remains were found, no confirmed location was ever established. Amy Lynn Bradley was never ever recovered. So, Amy Lynn Bradley went to sleep in her cabin. By morning, she no longer existed on the ship. Nobody saw her leave. No one heard anything out of place. And somewhere between night and daylight, Amy was gone. Amy Lynn Bradley has never ever been found. Now, if you like dark stories told at midnight, make sure that you're subscribed. And until then, I'll see you at midnight.